Hello and welcome to Anni News, where we tell it the way it is, unfiltered and uncensored. Today, I have the honor to have a guest on my show for first time ever, Clare Lopez, founder and president of Lopez Liberty LLC. If you're not familiar with her work, please go follow her on social media, look her up, and give her some love and support. Clare, what an honor to have you on the show today.
Hi, Annie. I am so glad to be with you too. Thank you for having me.
Of course, it's a pleasure. Let's get started. Before we get into the discussion of today, I want to quickly go over history. Listen up, people. Just in case you didn't know, 96 years ago, on July 18, 1924, for the first time ever, a U.S. embassy was attacked and the first American Foreign Service member was killed. This took place in Tehran, Iran. Yes, 96 years ago. For the first time ever, Iran attacked United States of America. And the mob that killed Mr. Robert Emory were Muslims who did not like the way America run things. What do you think of that, Clare?
You know, you reminded me of this. I had heard of it before and really forgotten about it. But to think how far back that attack on our Tehran embassy goes, that's a very long time ago. And of course, the history since then, especially more recently in these last 41 years, has been nothing but a repetition and an unbroken litany of attacks against Americans, both there in Iran and elsewhere around the world, including in our homeland on 9/11.
Exactly, and here's the thing. I'm gonna tell you my version of 41 years ago. Remember, I was born and raised in the Islamic Republic of Iran after the revolution, so I heard this story from Iranian government and Iranian school of how in 1979 our brave man, Muslim brothers, raided U.S. embassy, took 52 hostages for 444 days to prove a point that no one gets away by opposing Islam and Islamic leaders, being Khomeini, which basically this raiding, this hostage crisis happened because they wanted Shah of Iran deported back to Iran to stand trial. I was raised to be proud of that day. Every year of my life for 15 years, I had to celebrate that day. But then I came to America and heard the story here of what a terrifying days, 440 days, was happening for people of America, those who had loved ones in the hostage crisis, and how that one event changed the entire system of how Middle East works. But Clare, would you tell me, because I know not only you heard of it, not only you felt it when it was happening, but you're somewhat of an expert on where from there everything changed between Iran and America.
Well, it sure did. Of course, 1979 to this month, we are here in February of 2020. 1979 is when the Ayatollah Khomeini returned to Iran after a long exile and ushered in the Islamic Revolution that changed Iran. Now, I think what a lot of people may not realize is that the 20th century, the period of time when the Pahlavi Shahs were in power, Reza Shah, and then his son Mohammad Reza Shah, who was the Shah ousted in 1979, that period of time was almost an aberration. Iran, as even Persia, had been a jihad state ever since the 7th century, when it was overrun by the forces of Islam. And to its credit, I mean, I really have to give the Iranian people tremendous credit, because unlike other places, let's say around the Middle East, that were likewise overrun, the Persian people, the Iranian people, kept not only their language, but their culture and the celebration of their civilization. Things like Next month in March, we're going to celebrate Nowruz, which is the coming of spring. And that is the time of the new year for the Iranian people. These kinds of celebrations are kept and commemorated every year. But that year of 1979 was absolutely a turning point. I'll make one more point here, that when those so-called students attacked our embassy in Tehran, by the way, it happened twice in 1979. People forget the first time in February, the second time was November 1979. But when they attacked our embassy, they were attacking sovereign United States soil, because our embassies and other diplomatic facilities abroad, under international law, are considered the sovereign territory of the United States. So that was the first direct attack on American sovereign soil by this Iranian regime.
Exactly. I do. The ironic part of it is, as an Iranian, now American citizen, I always have this debate of, it wasn't Carter, it wasn't UK, it wasn't France, it wasn't anyone. It was the Islamic movement that is started by Ayatollah Khomeini, and that's all there is to be blamed. Did we react properly? Maybe not, but we did not start it, which I'm gonna use that to make it fast forward to today, how everyone on the left automatically blames President Trump for what happened on December of 2019, when our embassy, again, in Iraq was attacked, orchestrated by Islamic Republic of Iran's Quds Force, specifically General Soleimani, who was the commander. So we just established that 96 years ago, Islamic Iranians started the attack on America. But 96 years later, President Trump is the one who started the war with Islamic Republic of Iran. I'm not a traitor. I love my motherland, but I'll tell you what, from my point of view as an Iranian American, President Trump did not start the war. He possibly put an end to it. What's your take on that, Claire?
You know, I couldn't agree with you more, Annie. I think that President Trump, by the decisive action he took in the targeted assassination of Qasem Soleimani, who was, by the way, in the midst of operational planning for additional attacks against our embassy and our people with intent to kill and take them hostage. By that action, President Trump put an end to what I'm thinking of as about 41 years of a pattern of behavior from the United States by multiple US presidents that at least allowed that Tehran regime to believe that we would never, ever strike back, that we were cowed, that we were a paper tiger. I mean, we can go through the litany. After the 79 attack on our embassy, fast forward to Beirut in 1983, go to the alliance with Al-Qaeda that took place in Khartoum in 1990, Khobar Towers, 1996, East Africa embassy bombings, 1998, USS Cole, 2000, and yes, 9/11. And then fast forward, they thought that President Trump would follow in that same pattern of withholding a just retaliatory strike, as previous presidents had done. Iran still didn't believe that we had a new president in the Oval Office, and they mounted that attack against our embassy. Well, our diplomats were inside, in the safe room, and they were not harmed, but that was not the intent of the attackers. If they could have, they would have harmed them. And again, I say that is sovereign US soil, our embassy. And so President Trump then took the action, knowing that Qasem Soleimani was planning additional lethal attacks, took the action to strike at him on January the 3rd, this year, 2020, and remove him from the face of the earth. That was a turning point. It was a very important turning point. And I think it really shook the Iranian regime to its core. They did not expect that President Trump would take such a decisive action, or that that action would be aimed at the very top ranks of the Tehran regime.
I think the reason the regime, Iran Islamic regime, was so shocked is I don't blame them. For 40 years, they attacked us, they supported attacks on us, they financed attacks against us, they killed our people, and nobody did anything about it. So they kind of got used to the idea, especially because then Obama administration rewarded them with billions of dollars, like, here, you guys are doing good, keep on killing American people. So it might sound like a joke, but in all seriousness, it was a shock because they got comfortable with their attitude. And then suddenly President Trump is like, no, enough is enough. I will retaliate your actions, and I'm not going to let you kill innocent American people.
Yeah, exactly. Now, of course, the Tehran regime and its proxies, like Hezbollah and the Secretary General Hassan Nasrallah of Hezbollah and others, immediately burst out with threats of retaliation. And they may well attempt such. They have proxy forces, especially Hezbollah cells all over the world. And before his death, General Soleimani had actually, I guess it was a tweet, or maybe it was a statement, but to President Trump, saying something to the effect of, we are closer to you than you know. We are nearby and you do not even know it. Something like that is what he said or tweeted. And I think what that gets to is the presence of Hezbollah cells, which we know about through DEA, Drug Enforcement Agency, FBI, arrests and prosecutions. We know that they're here. I think that might be what he was referring to. But we have to acknowledge that the Iranian regime does have proxy forces, especially Hezbollah, all over the world, including really the entire Western Hemisphere and also Europe and other places.
I'm actually glad you brought that up, because I do have a very specific question for you. A lot of people on the left, well, President Trump has started a war. On the right, including myself, very proud that we basically retaliated. We showed them we're not going to take their, Islamic jihad anymore. But my question is, where do we stand now? Where do we stand when it comes to our battle and war with Islamic Republic of Iran's regime?
Well, I think what is really needed, and I'm really hopeful that the Trump administration is doing this, behind closed doors. We don't all need to know about it at the moment. But I'm hopeful that they are formulating a cohesive strategic policy for the United States, not just vis-a-vis this Islamic Republic of Iran regime, but in the broader Middle East, because of Iran's, influence, projection of power and influence throughout the region. I think we really need to be thinking about, where do we go from here? That's an exactly perfect question.
Claire, where can my audience find you, read your work, support you, follow you, anything they can do to help you spread the message?
I could use with a few more followers on Twitter, where I am at Clare M. Lopez. I'm also at my name, Clare Lopez, at Facebook. You can find me regularly blogging, posting pieces at newsmax.com. I'm also a member of the Citizens Commission on National Security. And if you go to that website, you will see all of my videos and written pieces posted on a regular basis, along with others by our team that include leader Roger Aronoff, Tom McInerney, retired Air Force General Tom McInerney, retired Colonel Alan West, and more. Yeah, those would be the main places that people can find me. Please go look.
That's great. Thank you so much, Claire, for joining me today. And I'm sure you're going to come back for more.
I will be very happy to, anytime. Thanks for bringing me on, Annie.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for watching this episode. Please do share it everywhere. Don't be afraid to be labeled. It's okay to be Islamophobe, because that doesn't exist. Make sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel and stay tuned for more. Goodbye.